we were just talking before we started. You look amazing. How have things been? And also, man, I saw you and the Godfather, Maestro, Fresh West together on television. What was going on with that, man?
Yo, man, everything's blessed. Thanks for having me, Rudy, first, as always. Yeah, me and the Godfather, man, Mice. I know Mice for so long, man. Like, he laid the groundwork and I came up under him and we've opened for him back in the day and hung out in the studio with him. I know, like I said, Maestro for 30 something years. So it was really cool for this full circle moment for that to happen on Marilyn Dennis.
It's scary when we talk about that, knowing these cats for such a long time, knowing you for such a long time. It's not like 1 or 2 years. We talk decades.
Yeah.
And especially in this industry, in an industry that's not always friendly, especially for certain
Yeah,
types of people, if you know what I mean.
for sure,
Um,
man.
yes. What has always been your staying power? And always going after your passion, whether it be music, whether it be food or other endeavors.
I think what it is, man, is I just follow my heart. I don't live on this prescribed notion of what my life is like and hold on to that. Like I'm a chef. So like I do chef things and I do talk to chef people about chef things and do chef things. Like I always like just look at what's happening in the world with my life, with what I need, and I've always found that emotionally before mental health was a big conversation. I've been surrounded with all kind of very interesting mental health circumstances my whole life. So I realized that art was always a way for me to dive into dealing with my own situations and that around me and understanding the world. And as I continue to do more and more art things, first with music and then in the culinary arts and now doing all these art installation stuff, it just really is an outlet on the pathway of healing for me and putting those things out in the world. So the secret to longevity is just be willing to adapt, look at the landscape and change and evolve, man, and just keep moving and stay true to what you're doing, but just evolve, man. Just keep moving and keep doing things and keep engaged.
You mentioned about mental health, and this is the first time you and I have ever had a chance to talk about this, whether it be on camera or privately too, because what we're going to talk about is something that's an initiative from you for the world. It's a great way to give back, especially everything that we've been through over COVID. What's going on right now? What is this new initiative that you are presenting to us?
It's an art installation. I've been working with the city of Toronto as a member of the Awakenings Task Force for a few years and doing a bunch of social justice art related stuff with them for all those years. We did a lot of reflections videos around this campaign launching. We did the read in, we did the dismantle of stuff that I was involved in and that I led on with the read in, for example. And now we're doing the burn. It's part of the Stronger TO, a COVID commemorative installation that I'm doing. So right now, between January 19th and March 11th, we have these 3 gold vessels that are touring around the city, and we encourage people from the city and the citizens of Toronto and anyone who wants to come and interact with the vessels to interact with them. And, we've just gone through and we're going through this unprecedented global situation with COVID. And it's not only unusual in the scope and scale of it, but in the collective experience of it globally, right?
Mhm.
So, I recognize that there's just so much people hurting out there, man. There's just so many people having a lot of difficult times. You have right now this earthquake in Turkey and Syria, and the war in Ukraine, and there's just so many Canadians and people affected, especially in a place like Toronto that's so diverse and multicultural. All these communities are part of our community. So compound that with COVID, we need a way to heal. And so this art installation, The Burn, is about finding a way, hopefully, that we can heal individually, but also collectively, which I think is very important.
How important is this to have this now established? And the reason why I say that is because I think like you and I are both from back in the day, and
Mm,
back in the day, the older folks would just basically say to you, "Suck it up."
yeah,
You're not supposed to talk about these things.
yeah,
You keep it to yourself, you suck it up, and you just move on. One, two, three. That's it.
right.
Times have changed, though. It's okay for men to be able to express their emotions. So that's what I mean by how important you think it is now for having something like this, because I feel like it's another way of people being able to say, yeah, it's okay for me to express my fears and my worries.
Yeah, no, I think that's important, and there's two things to that. I look at like Maya Angelou and Oprah Winfrey, they said, once you know better, if you know better, you do better. So,
Mhm.
now we believe we know better about how to cope and manage with these issues. So that's really important. The other thing is, some people just have a very difficult time expressing those emotions verbally. And
Yeah.
so the burn is set up that we can place those intentions by charging the intentions um, sort of meditatively. So when you approach the burn vessel, you're going to see a wooden bowl made out of cedar with wooden spheres in them. So the idea is you grab the sphere, and you don't have to speak. You just place it on your heart and place your intention on it. So um, let's say you had a loved one that died during COVID that was really meaningful for you, and you hope that they are finding peace wherever they are, and that you can find peace in reconciling with your grief as well, for example. And then you take that intention, you charge that on the cedar sphere, you enter it into the burn vessel, and then it goes down and returns back. And then the next person does the same thing. And over time, we're going to collect tens of thousands of these cedar spheres from citizens of Toronto who are using it to place and heal on with them, right? Then on March 11th, we're building these three large monuments of perforated steel, light, sound, fire, is sitting in 30-foot wide pools of water in the middle of Nathan Phillips Square. And we're doing a ceremonial burn over 24 hours from March 11th sunset to March 12th sunset, where we're going to burn all of these intentions for a healing and cleansing ritual. So individually, if you can't speak your issues into existence, you can meditate them into existence. And we're using the sacred power of fire and water to heal and cleanse individually and collectively.
This is a beautiful thing. How did you come up with this? This sounds like this was maybe a ceremony of something that has happened before, and you came up with the idea. This is, like I said, it's beautiful.
Well, thank you, man. Humans have been using fire and water for cleaning, for cleansing and healing for thousands and thousands of years, right? So
True.
this is not a new thing. We know that there are elemental and spiritual implications to healing and cleansing with fire and water from many cultures all over the world, including our own indigenous cultures here in Canada and North America, right? So yeah, yeah, it's what we're doing, man. How did it start? Okay, so in the January 2021-ish, all the lockdowns, I had family members dying all over the world from
Yeah.
various things, not COVID related, but in that window of time, there were some interpersonal relationship things happening in my own personal life surrounding me. And I just found myself, Rudy, in a very dark place. I'm an artist, man. I find myself in dark places, not frequently, but more than I would like. But this one felt different, because this time I recognized that I wasn't by myself in this bubble. I recognized that globally, a lot of people on the planet were in this kind of state of mind. So
Mhm.
I removed myself from it. And I said, this time, I'm not going to just try and deal with me. I'm going to set myself aside and help other people. And I made that decision. I went to bed. I woke up in the morning with this idea of charging an intention, cleansing that intention with fire, and then repurposing all of those ashes from that fire and spreading them in community gardens so that they can feed the community in perpetuity, right? So that was the idea. And because I've been working with as a task force member with Awakenings with the City of Toronto, I called our curator, Umberine, to tell her about my idea and just where my head was at. And she got it right away. I feel that like a lot of people you talk to and open up to about in that window, um, a lot of people are feeling the same way and just not kind of saying it in some ways, right? So we had that conversation and she's like, I get it. This has to happen. We formed a team immediately. We brought in Javid Jah, who's our designer and
Yeah.
fabricator, who's incredible, incredible,
Yes.
incredible. We brought in Elder Catherine Tamaro, who's our Indigenous advisor, to make sure that we are doing everything and adhering to the spiritual concepts, principles, and the rituals that we're undertaking and bringing these elements alive for healing and cleansing. And a small production team at the City of Toronto, and we just started building. And over a few months, the mayor's office found out about it and they jumped onto it and added on to it and made it part of the COVID commemoration. And then Heritage Canada heard about it and jumped on and became part of it. And now it's ballooned into this really beautiful thing, larger and more beautiful than I can imagine. And you're driving around Toronto, you're seeing bus shelters and billboards and radio, TV ads, and we're trying to spread the word and bringing the vessels to people in the community. This thing has become a monster much grander than I dreamt about. And I think that's only because it came from such a raw, honest, earnest place, and so many people needed it. Everybody who found out and touched it is like, yo, I need this. Let's go. And they just
Yeah.
kept adding on, man. So here we are.
I'm speechless, man. I'm so proud of you for putting this together. What has the reaction been? Have you heard feedback yet from people who have touched the vessel and been part of this?
Yeah, it's been really amazing. Like, I'll tell you an example. Like the first vessel, first three vessels, one of them launched at my restaurant, Twist by Roger Mooking at Pearson Airport. And so I set it up and I did the thing to kind of show people how to do it and have my own moment with the vessel as well. I walked around the corner to have a meeting with one of my managers in the restaurant. And behind me came Mama. Mama is one of our most beloved staff member in the restaurant. Everybody calls her Mama. This tells you all you need to know. Mama's had like a lot of stuff happen in the last few years, personal health, family health, just a bunch of just really devastating things. And here comes Mama around the corner in the middle of my meeting and she's bawling, she's crying. And she stopped. I said, Mama, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's going on? I get up. I said, what's up? She said, Roger, thank you for doing this. No one knows what's in our hearts. We walk around every day pretending like everything is good in our heart, but nobody knows. And this allows me to express that without having to say it. And thank you. And we're both just standing there bawling for like 5 minutes. And so it was a really magical moment. And as far as I knew, that was the second person who interacted with the vessel had that reaction, because I was the first that I knew of, right?
Yeah.
And it just spoke so much. And we're getting testimonies coming in from the people who are curating at the sites, from people who are participating with the burn vessels, and we're getting similar stories coming back. It's a really magical thing, and I can't wait for people to see what we do on March 11th to March 12th at Nathan Phillips Square. It's a beautiful, beautiful, amazing takeover of the square, and it's all about love and healing, man. And of course,
Yeah.
I got put music in there. There's a sound design that's based on healing, love, and transformational frequencies. Um, and so there's a whole thing. Elder Catherine has programmed an incredible evening of events with our indigenous firekeepers and several dances and rituals, and that's incredible. Javid is fabricating right now with Cube some incredible fire pits that are 10 feet tall and perforated steel and just full of sacred geometry and healing magic. So it really is a team effort, and Umberine is curating an incredible experience inside of the rotunda with yoga and meditation and social workers and psychologists in case people are in crisis on site at the moment. We're going to have resources there. So it's a very, very special thing, man, that's come together. And I think everybody, like I said, who's heard about it and had the opportunity to interact and participate and become part of this burn, um, I think everybody needed it. So they realized that others need it as well. So people have been so gracious on jumping on board and supporting, man. It's been, like I said, just grander than my imagination could have ever run when I made that call.
Any chance you'll be taking this to other cities?
I would love to take this to other cities. I would love to tour this around because I would love to tour this around the world because
Yeah.
I know that people around the world, just based off the reaction that we've had so far, it is definitely something I would love to do. Right now, our commitment is Toronto with everything. Um, but if there's anybody out there who has a capacity in any part of the world who can help us make this happen in other parts of the world, please reach out. Go to rogermooking.com, hit my contact button, email us. We'll hit you and make this thing happen because I'm very focused on love only beyond this point, my brother.
So the vessels are moving around the city. Where, excuse me, where and how do we find it? Where do we go?
Yeah. If you go to toronto.ca/the burn, you'll see all the information about the burn and also the touring schedule of the gold vessels leading up to March 11th. And then, of course, mark your calendars. We're anticipating for tens of thousands of people at Nathan Phillips Square. We're preparing for that right now. So please mark your calendar. And there's a series of like performances and stuff happening as well. Um, but mark your calendar for sunset of March 11th to sunset of March 12th. We're doing this thing, and it's going to be a very special moment in the city's history.
So before we wrap this up, any new music or any food endeavors coming up in the future?
Yeah, check this out. Just this week, we dropped this song called Never Thought with this kid Malachi. So that's on my YouTube, it's on my socials. You could check that out. The song is like so fun. The video is out on YouTube. It's so fun. It's a playful sort of speaking on the state of affairs of the world right now. So check that out. My partner and I in music production, Jeff, we just formed this production duo called Surgeon and the Butcher, and we've released a couple songs off of an EP that we've released with actually my niece, Jade Mooking. So check that out. That's on all streamers right now. She's got a song called Blue Stranger that dropped today, actually. And then last month, she dropped a song Rainy Day. And there's more music coming, and it's going to come with a full EP in the next little while. So look out for that. A little Surgeon and the Butcher production. And of course, Surgeon and the Butcher also did the sound design for the Burn stuff that I was telling you about that you're going to hear on March 11th. So yeah, the music don't stop, man. And I'm working on something right now, Rudy, that's so crazy. It's gonna come out the end of the year. You wait for this one. We gotta talk about that one because boy, that one is stupid. That's all signed and locked and ready to go. We're finishing it up now. So that's another really exciting thing, but we could talk about that another time.
Cannot wait. Before we wrap it up, for some folks who may not be able to make it to the vessel, what advice can you give them? Because I think a lot of people were going through some hard times and still going through hard times and trying to find that light. What advice do
Yeah,
you have?
thank you for that, man. Right now I would suggest you go to toronto.ca/the burn, find the burn vessel tour schedule. And we've done our absolute best to make sure that we can hit every corner of the city at publicly accessible locations so that we can bring the burn to you in your place, meet you where you are as close as we can. So we're touring 24 locations over that block between January 19th and March 11th. 24 locations. So again, go to toronto.ca/the burn, check out the burn vessel tour locations, interact with the burn. Um, it helped a little bit for mama, helped a little bit for me, and we're getting those testimonials in. And just know that your intentions, that if you're not able to come on the 11th, we will be healing and cleansing all of those intentions on those cedar spheres. If you've interacted with them up to March 11th, we'll be burning those on March 11th. So if you do the vessels alone and aren't able to make it to Nathan Phillips Square, please know the elements will be working in your favor on that date, because we will be burning those intentions.
Thank you so much for this. Thank you so much for the interview, but more importantly, thank you so much for this, because this is needed. Always big love to you, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Rudy. Much respect always for your support. I really appreciate it always. Thank you.